Betty, you voted for President Trump. Do you regret that decision based on what we're seeing?
In terms of food insecurity, I do. I believe he's doing a great job with the border. But right now, the border's not affecting me. Right now, it's affecting my daughter, the fact that she needs a SNAP and she won't be getting anything for November. And like I said, she's a type 1 diabetic, and we want to represent all the other diabetics out there or people with chronic health conditions that do need this food. And they may not have a safety net. They may not have relatives to fall back on. We know many people, and those people that don't have relatives to fall back on.
Let me ask you, Betty, because we're going to be speaking with a Republican congressman right after you and I had this conversation, one that's very close to President Trump. What is your message to lawmakers right now, Betty?
I would say restore funding for SNAP. And I believe the Trump administration, instead of focusing on presidential ballrooms, should be paying attention to individual Americans' dining rooms.
Betty, will this experience impact your voting decisions in the future?
Well, it depends on what the administration does in the future. It may. Like I said, there's certain things that I'm thankful that Trump has done. But in terms of just basic food insecurity, I believe he has to make some changes in order to do what he said. I think he promised to lower prices for Americans, and I don't see that happening right now.
Well, I want to thank you both for sharing what's happening. It's so important to hear. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to keep this short and quick. I'll turn my AC off for this one. Quite honestly, y'all aren't even that fucking important. But to all the people who are now saying, I want my vote back because Donald Trump deported your spouse, go fuck yourself. You didn't care about anybody else. The suffering of people didn't matter when it wasn't happening to you. But now that it's you, now it's a fucking problem. And to those people, to those prominent MAGA voices like Frog Boy and the Sambo twins who are now going, I didn't support this. He's protecting PDF files. Fuck you. Even more than the last group, because yes, you did support it, and you're full of bullshit. You're fucking lying just to appeal your audience who are losing their shit. Go fuck yourselves twice over. That's all I gotta say.
Alright, that right there is Trump's America in real time. A MAGA mom suddenly regretting her vote because her daughter isn't getting SNAP benefits anymore. The moment the policy touches their own household, the regret switches on instant. And right after that, an influencer acting like they care about Epstein, when in reality, the panic is only about their paycheck drying up. Performative morality at its peak. This is the pattern that keeps repeating. No concern when these policies were destroying other communities. No outrage when families were losing support, losing rights, or getting targeted. Silence. But once the consequences land on their doorsteps, now it's shock, tears, and how this happened. That's the FAFO moment. This is what happens when loyalty to Trump matters more than reality, more than policy, more than actual people. Everything they ignored keeps cycling back. This video dives straight into more of these regret clips, more people waking up way too late, more selective outrage, more panic from the same cloud that shared this on. Like, subscribe if this your first time to this channel, and share. It keeps push content that exposes this mess exactly as it unfolds. Let's get into the video and watch it.
There's something going around right now. It's called MAGA regret. And there's a lot of MAGA getting online talking about their feelings and how they feel like they regret voting for him. They regret losing some of their family members. They regret fighting with people that they loved while they're supporting this man and his wild policies and his crazy ideas and rhetoric. But you know what? I don't feel sorry for you because you knew what kind of man he was. You knew what kind of man he was when he first came down them damn escalator stairs all those years ago and wanted to come out and play politician. You knew what kind of man he was when he would do to win this last election. And there's court cases that are still out there. Let's talk about New York a little bit later. But you know what? There are court cases because that man would have done anything to keep his ass out of jail. Because you remember, he's a 34-count felon. And during the election and all that, he was supposed to get sentenced. Well, you heard what the judge said in that case, too. So, yeah, he wouldn't have been sitting. They were even checking out over at Rikers Island to see how Secret Service would be able to protect him in there. That man's a criminal, a crook, and belongs in prison. So you knew what kind of man he was. Even on January 6th, which you guys are still say you're so proud of, you were fighting for this country. No, you were insurrectionists against this country. Sedition, the word that President Donald Trump's throwing around a lot right now. Yeah, exactly. Doesn't sound good when the shoe's on the other foot, does it? Let me know what your thoughts are in the chat. Are you a MAGA that's turning back away from President Donald Trump? Are you a Republican that can't wait to shake your leg of these MAGA population? They'll all eventually crawl back. The MAGA will. MAGA and Republicans are different. But the MAGA, they'll go back under all the hardwood floors that they crawled out in the crooks and cranny. They'll go scooting their way back that way. Especially now when he's coming against some of their own in these rural populations. You never really care until it affects you. They just were told that it was going to affect the people that they didn't like. Bye. Let me know what your thoughts are in the chat. Bye.
I find it truly repulsive when I see Republicans say stuff like this in response to creeping authoritarianism and the surveillance state. Y'all truly yearn to be subjugated by an overlord, don't you? And this comment is in response to her own video talking about the Palantir database and how she's feeling very skeptical about why we need such a thing. With these people, it is never that the government shouldn't be allowed to track citizens in a database created by a private entity. It's that they're not worried about the database because they're not going to do anything wrong. They're not going to break any laws, so they're not concerned about it. And if you are concerned about it, then that just proves that you're a criminal and that you have something to hide. When are y'all going to start to realize that it doesn't matter what you do or don't do that's illegal or not illegal? If the state decides they want to lock you up for something in an authoritarian state, they are going to use that database to collect whatever evidence that they need to prove their point. That includes your search history, your message history, your communication history, your buying history, your social media history, everything. I'm not worried about an authoritarian police state because I'm not breaking any laws. I'm not worried about ICE being the Gestapo because I'm here legally. I'm not worried about the Trump administration contracting Palantir to track me in a database because I have nothing to hide. I need everyone that still supports Donald Trump to understand that every time that you talk about freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of religion, anything that has to do with freedom, you sound like a goddamn joke. Lean into your love of authoritarianism. Lean into fascism. What are y'all so afraid of? Just wear it with your whole person. Speak it with your whole chest. We already all know what y'all are. And this comment from this content creator proves one thing, that you still cannot trust a Trump supporter, even if they get on the internet and say, I don't love him anymore. I think I've made a mistake voting for him. Because this is exactly what this woman did. And here she is a couple of days later in the comment section saying, I don't have anything to worry about. And even in the video, she says, well, I love Donald Trump. Those are her exact words. So even though she might feel like she made a mistake voting for him, she still loves him and supports everything he does. Do not trust a Trump supporter. If they voted for him in 2024, they are not to be trusted. I don't care what they say, because most of the time it's probably just for clicks, views, and engagement if you see it on here.
See, this is the part people forget. Even when some MAGA folks claim they regret it, the trust just isn't there. Too many years of cheering on cruelty, too many years of ignoring the damage until it reached their own door. A simple "my bad" doesn't erase the pattern and doesn't erase the impact on everyone else who never had the privilege of pretending politics didn't matter. The regret always comes with conditions. It's never about understanding the harm done to other families, other communities, other people. It's always centered on their own situation, their own benefits, their own comfort. That's why so many folks out here saying they don't buy it. This regret feels more like inconvenience than reflection. And honestly, this cycle keeps repeating. The same people who screamed loyalty for years are now shocking at predictable outcomes. Policies don't care about emotions. They hit whoever in the path. The moment that reality sets in, the excuses start. The backpedaling starts. And suddenly everyone is victim again. That's not accountability, that's self-preservation. More clips are coming up, more raw reactions, more people pointing out exactly why these apologies fall flat. The next one goes even deeper into that lack of sympathy people are feeling across the country. Let's keep going.
Personally, I don't care for y'all's apologies, because it took you this long to admit that you were lied to and deceived. You could excuse everything else that led up to this point, but it was the Epstein list that makes you want to say, oh, now we're united as a country against the government. Who's we? Just because now it's affecting you, because your family's Medicaid might get cut. Now you want to say, we're united as a country. Absolutely not. Me and you will never be united. After we had the Proud Ice Boys snatching up brown people, arresting them with no due process, some of them being indigenous people, some of them being Puerto Rican. Puerto Rico's part of America, you probably didn't know that. After we've had black folk gunned down in the street for how many years? With no justice, while their murderer gets administrative leave paid? After women have had their bodily autonomy, their rights stripped away little by little? After we've had our tax dollars go to fund genocide in a foreign country? Taxes that could have been used for healthcare, science, education? No, war in the Middle East. Building actual concentration camps in our own country. After all the vulgar things he said out loud on camera, while y'all have moved the goalpost for him every single fucking time. The list goes on. You get the point. I really don't give a damn where you're from. I grew up as a straight white male in South Mississippi, and I still developed a moral compass. And now you're supposed to be just welcomed back with open arms? You are more than welcome to go do the right thing finally on your own time, but me and you will never be on the same team. And any leftist that says otherwise does not speak for me. This is what happens when you treat an election like a motherfucking SEC football game and vote for a convicted felon just because he has on your team's color. Fucking dipshits.
So there's, some MAGA finally coming around and saying, oh, we regret our vote, yada, yada, yada. We thought it was going to release the Epstein files. Now we found out he's going to... I don't care. It's so disingenuous and trying to essentially pad the impact. The reason I don't care that you're finally coming around and I don't want you on our side is because you're not. You're not on our side. You never were and you never will be. You're an inhumane monster. And just because Trump got caught diddling kids does not change the fact that you supporting him through mocking a disabled reporter, all of the other shit that he's done, his 34 felony counts, his walking into the dressing room at the Miss Teen USA pageants, his rape of E. Jean Carroll, all of that you had no problem with. You were fine with it. You were fine with his convictions, multiple convictions from the state of New York for failure to pay people that he had hired to work on his buildings. You were fine with that. You were fine with him and the Central Park Five denying black people residency at his hotels. You were fine with that. You weren't put by that. That wasn't a deal breaker for you. It's not the fact that he did one thing bad which makes him a bad person. It's everything he's done throughout his life. That's what makes him a bad person. It's him saying to a 10-year-old that he'll be dating her in 10 years. It's him saying that he would be dating his daughter if she wasn't his daughter. It's the fact that he's been married 3 times and cheated on every single one of them. With the following one, usually. Those are all reasons that I would never support him. But you were fine with all of that. So don't try and take a moral stance. Don't try and say that, oh, now he's immoral all of a sudden. Yeah, no. He's always been. And so are you. You just have one less thing that's despicable. Have the day you deserve.
And that right there sums it up the whole MAGA regret era. The awakening only happens when the pain hits their side. They didn't care when policies were tearing through other communities. Not a sound, but now that the impact is landing on their household that thought they were protected, suddenly it's panic, confusion, and a desperate attempt to distance themselves from the movement they spent years supporting. The selective empathy is what? They demanded toughness, demanded cruelty, demanded harshness, until the system circled back. That's why so many people are done offering sympathy. The harm wasn't theoretical, it was lived. And while others were begging to be heard, MAGA was laughing, mocking, or pretending anything was fine. That's why this movement hits so differently. This last clip shows exactly how deep that frustrations lands. People are calling out the entire culture, the influencers, the grifters, the fake moral outrage, the folks pretending to see the light only because their comfort is now threatened. It exposes how much of this movement was built on selfishness, not principle. The fallout is just starting. More regrets are coming. More panic from people who thought Trump's policies would only hurt others. That's the FAFO energy. And the country is watching it unfold in real time. Let's wrap up the list. And there it is, the aftermath of cheering for a system that only serves itself. The regret, the panic, the tears. It was always coming. Policies don't care who voted for them. The consequences don't check political loyalty. MAGA supporters are finally seeing it the first hand. But sympathy is gone. This isn't a lesson in forgiveness. This is a lesson in reality catching up. And while some cry now, others call out the hypocrisy, the influencers pretending to care, and the entire culture is selective outrage. The spotlight doesn't lie. When loyalty to cruelty meets real-world consequences, it's predictable chaos. That's the story here. That's the FAFO moment. This is exactly why these videos matter, showing what happens when choices have consequences and the truth finally hits the very people who ignored it for years. Like, subscribe if it's your first time to this channel, and share. It keeps this channel exposing the reality and showing the fallout without excuses. That's all for this one. Stay tuned because the chaos isn't stopping anytime soon. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best and I wish you peace and love. See you to the next one. Bye bye.